Welcome to Episode 2 of the Architectural Heritage Center's Portland Architecture Close-Up. I'm your host, AHC Education Manager, Val Ballastrom. With each brief segment, we take a look at a place or figure important to Portland, Oregon's rich architectural legacy. In this episode, we'll explore the history of the Pioneer Courthouse Square block, the place we know as Portland's living room. In the 1850s, Portland was a young but growing city, and the block bordered by Southwest Yamhill, Morrison, 6th, and what is now Broadway, was several blocks from the heart of the business district. Houses dotted this area, and in 1858 the block became home to the city's first public school. For more than 2 decades, the Central School operated from this location, even as the city began to grow up around it, and as the Pioneer Courthouse was built right across the street in the 1870s. By the early 1880s, however, new schools had begun to pop up in neighborhoods around the city, and so the school district decided to sell the property. In 1883, railroad tycoon Henry Villard purchased the property for the Northern Pacific Railroad with the dream of building a destination hotel for the city of Portland. Construction on the hotel had barely begun, however, when Villard's finances fell apart, and it took until 1890 before new ownership would complete the building. When the Portland Hotel project was first begun, Henry Villard enlisted the New York architectural firm of McKim, Mead & White to design the building. One of their employees, William Whiddon, assisted with those early designs, and when the project was restarted in 1888, Whiddon was brought back to Portland, where he stayed, embarking on a very successful career. Whiddon changed very little from the building's original McKim, Mead & White plans, and the Portland Hotel opened in the spring of 1890. Although not the tallest building in the city, the Portland Hotel filled its entire 200-foot block and was an instant city landmark. Outside, the basalt stone on the first 2 floors was softened by a central courtyard with corner turrets that enclosed spiral staircases, while the upper floors and roofline with its many dormers resembled a French chateau. Inside, the hotel was both grand and state-of-the-art, including a formal entry lobby, a grand parlor with piano and fireplaces for guests and visitors alike. Dining areas could seat more than 250 people at a time, with menus that included turtle, pheasant, and of course, Columbia River salmon. Meanwhile, the guest rooms ranged from modest one-room units to suites and even private apartments for those staying longer than a few days. And throughout the building, one could find trendy new designs from local furniture makers and the latest in gas and electric light fixtures. Over the years, the hotel served a wide array of visitors and events ranging from trade shows to society weddings. But by the 1920s, newer downtown hotels diminished the Portland Hotel's status. By the end of the Second World War, the Portland Hotel's days were clearly numbered. The nearby Meyer & Frank department store now owned the hotel and was looking to attract more business by supplying ample parking for their customers. In the summer of 1951, Meyer & Frank decided to demolish the Portland Hotel. Meyer & Frank replaced the Portland Hotel with a 2-level parking garage, while intending to one day build a multi-story building on the block. That building never materialized, however, and the parking garage remained there for nearly 3 decades. By the early 1970s, Portland was looking at ways to revitalize downtown, and the location of the parking garage seemed a perfect fit for some type of public square. At the request of the city, in 1973, Portland architect Will Martin drew a concept for a public square that might one day replace the parking garage. This design was never intended to be built, but it helped fuel support for the public square idea. After completing the downtown transit mall in the mid-1970s, the city of Portland turned its attention toward the property, having purchased it from Meyer & Frank just a few years earlier. In early 1980, a public square design competition brought in submissions from around the country, but the winner was architect Will Martin, who, along with his team of designers and artists, proposed a square that combined elements of a classic Italian piazza with then emerging ideas behind postmodernist architecture. To build public support for the project, Will Martin orchestrated the painting of the old parking surface bright red to mimic the outline of the proposed square. Supporters also helped bring the square to fruition as thousands purchased bricks inscribed with their names or the names of loved ones. Pioneer Courthouse Square opened in April 1984 and was an immediate success. For 36 years and counting, Pioneer Courthouse Square has thrived, hosting countless events and serving as a welcoming living room for Portland residents and visitors alike. While the hotel and the school before it are long gone, there remain some vestiges of the block's earlier history. On 6th Avenue, one of the entrance gates to the Portland Hotel was reinstalled close to its original location. Meanwhile, underneath the square and out of public view, there are remnants of the Portland Hotel's foundation that date back to the 1880s. We hope you've enjoyed this close-up look at the history of Portland's living room. You can read more about the Portland Hotel in the book Railway Palaces of Portland, Oregon by Alexander Craghead, and you can read about the Central School in my book Lost Portland, Oregon. You can learn more about the square online at the Oregon Encyclopedia or at the Pioneer Courthouse Square website. If you'd like to see more of these stories, help us get the word out using the hashtag PortlandCloseUp. Please also consider supporting our work through a donation to the Architectural Heritage Center at visitahc.org. I'm Val Ballastrom, and thank you very much for watching.